All right, welcome back to part two of my med kit. I didn't call part one, but I'm going to call part two. At any rate, if you didn't see part one, I'll try and remember to put a link down in the description. But I went over basically what's in my med kit as a firefighter EMT on a volunteer fire department. But I didn't go into detail about what's in my large bleed kit. So that's what I want to do in this video, is go over what's in my large bleed kit, how I put it together, and you know, you can do kits like this as well with a Food Saver. So stick with me. We'll go over what's in here, and you'll see me put one together hopefully. So I put together the large bleed kit here for two purposes. Really, it's so in that backpack in the large section, there isn't really any divisions in it, so stuff just floats around, and if you need specific things, you may need to go hunting for it, which is sort of like this old one that I had to do the same thing. So if I get to a scene and I've done a patient evaluation and I know there's significant bleeding, I can reach in and I can grab this, and it's going to have hopefully everything that I need. I'm also going to make a decision, is it this, or is it, if it's on a limb or leg, is it tourniquet time? And then this would probably be something that I come to later. But if this is what I determine that I'm going to use, this is what it is, and it's all packaged up. I also have it so I could tell somebody else to go get it. So I'm probably going to have that backpack with me, but if it's laying over the way or whatever, I can say, hey, get the large bleed kit, and I've got some instructions on there, and I've got the contents on there. So I could say, hey, go get the large bleed kit out of that brown backpack and follow the instructions. And the instructions say, get this kit, okay, go back to medic, open this kit, put on gloves from the top of kit, tell medic you have the large bleed kit, follow instructions given by medic. And then at the bottom I have the contents of the bleed kit. So that way, if I'm by myself, I'm probably going to need some help. There's usually going to be somebody else around. Somebody had to call 911, right? So I could recruit them to help out, and they could be safe themselves. The gloves that are in here aren't necessarily for me, although I could obviously use them, because I'm probably going to have the gloves from the outside of my kit already on. I should. If I don't, there's something else going on that we need to talk about. So the contents of the kit, that pair of gloves that I was talking about, then sort of in order of use, I have four 4x4 gauze pads. So rip these open, put on there, one at a time, or I could double them up, or I could fold them over, I could do whatever. I check, okay, hey, look, it doesn't look like the bleeding stopped. I could go to this Combine abdomen pad, and this is very similar in nature to a feminine hygiene pad. I think I said that right. It serves basically the same purpose. So this is a specialty product. It's 5 inches by 9 inches, so it unfolds. It's a little bigger. You could use it maybe on an abdominal wound. If you don't have these, or you don't have access to it, and you have, if you're a lady or you have a lady in the house, you could use one of those feminine hygiene pads, although I would highly suggest that you talk to her about it before you go get a few. So yeah, that's that. That's probably the next thing I'd put on there. And then I have this bulky gauze bandage. I have a couple here, training items that are open already. So this is what the bulky gauze bandage looks like. It's basically rolled up gauze, and I could put that on a wound and then wrap it. That's going to help provide direct pressure on there. It's also going to be absorbent. Or if I needed to wrap something, maybe I have a head wound, I could go around the head, start doing that, and then tie it off on the other end when I get done wrapping it. Probably not going to use this for wrap, but I could. I'm probably going to use this more as an improvised direct pressure bandage. Another, on the same accord, I'm going to have this blood stopper. This is basically a pressure bandage, although it says it could be used for a couple of different things. And this may also be what they refer to as an Israeli bandage. If you know, comment down below. But at any rate, pressure bandage unwraps. That first thing there, that's just sort of keep it all in place. And then you unfold this, and this is a non-stick surface, so I could have some gauze pads there. I could have some combine pads on that wound. I could come in like this, and that non-stick dressing is going to go down over the top of my wound. And then I have a gauze roll up here that doesn't go anywhere, and I have a roll that unrolls right here, and I could go around, pull tight on this, and as it goes over the top of this, it's going to apply a pressure to that wound. And that's what that's for, and it's unrolling itself. And then the last thing that I have in here is this Coflex or cohesive bandage. What this is basically, if you've ever got a blood draw at the doctor's office or at the hospital or whatever, that's what they put on at the end. It's that stretchy, elasticy stuff, except this is probably a little thicker. And so I got all this stuff in play. Last thing I could do, wrap this around, get it nice and tight. It's going to secure everything in place. Let's load, let's go, let's get out of there, let's get to the hospital. And by the time I get to putting this on, I've probably got other resources that are in play. Fire trucks got there, got whatever. So that's what's in my large bleed kit. So let's put one together. I got to get some stuff staged, and yeah, okay, I'll be right back. I've got my food saver set up. I've pulled a bag out, and it's just a little bit bigger than the 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, and you see that there. And I haven't sealed the bottom side yet, so following the instructions on your particular device, you want to put that in there, lock that down, and I'm just going to hit seal, and it's going to do its magic, and then it'll do ding. It doesn't ding. So I've got my bottom edge sealed. First thing that I'm going to put in there is my sheet here that says instructions. If you notice at the top, I had to open, tear, or cut here. But what I found is I didn't want to cut, because if this thing gets bounced around in travel, your gloves and stuff slide up to the top, and if you cut here, you cut through them. So if you just tear it open, it doesn't hopefully mess up your gloves. So I crossed out the or cut part. So I'm going to have this in here on what I'll call the bottom for now, and you just slide it in there, go all the way to the bottom, and then I'm going to leave that on the clear side, and then the side with the ridges I'm going to have that up, and then I'm going to put sort of the order that I would be using this, slide these in here, and I'm sure you guys get the idea of what we're doing. It's not rocket science. So you could do this with anything you want, you know, if you wanted to store some stuff, you know, sort of waterproof it, keep it from getting wet, or keep the air from getting to it, you know, you could really do whatever. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay. So my kit, and the top of it is my gloves. Like I said, you know, if I have somebody that's helping me out, I can say, hey, go get this, and then they open it up, and the first thing on top that they get to is the gloves, and they're supposed to put those on. So I'm going to, you got to set this up right, because you don't want your paper to get in the way of your seal, or it won't make a good seal. So I think I've got that there, and again, following the instructions on your particular device. Lock it down shut, and now I'm going to hit vacuum, and it'll start pulling a vacuum and pull some of this air out. I don't want to pull it all out and compact this stuff. I just want to get it so it's less bulky, right? So, and when it reaches that point, I hit seal, and now it goes into the seal mode. Ding! Doesn't really ding. Feisty. So there you go. I've got a second large bleed kit made up, and again, got my instructions on there. I've got all the stuff that I need for my large bleed kit, and I've got a second one of those. And so yeah, you know, you got different size bags. You can make different size kits. If you have a bug out bag and you got fire kit in there for making fire, you know, you can seal it up, and you know, it's not going to stay waterproof after the first time you open it, but you know, you can do a bunch of other stuff. One thing on the tear though that I'll mention is to make that easy, you have to make a couple of notches, a couple of V-cuts. So I'm going to use my scissors here up towards the top, cut in like that, cut in like that, remove my little, there we go, got one over there, put one over here at the same spot. And I don't want to go, you know, all the way into the bag because that would defeat the purpose of sucking some of that air out. But, you know, almost halfway is good. And so I've got a little V-notch in there. I don't know if you can see that in there or not. All right, oh yeah, there you go. You see that V-notch? And you can grab on the top and the bottom of that and you can pull and it will pull open. I don't have an example here, or I don't want to mess that up. So there you go. There's my large bleed kit. It doesn't have to be a large bleed kit. You could make this, you know, whatever you want it to be. Anything around the house that you want. But by all means, you could kit some stuff up, and then, you know, you get into a situation, you could have a small bleed kit, you could have a medium bleed kit, you could have a medical kit, you could have, you know, food, obviously food saver, but you wouldn't necessarily, you know, put your hamburger in there and throw it in the freezer. You could have some M&Ms, you could have some peanuts, you could have some other shelf-stable food, you could throw that in your kit, and then, you know, you got some food. So, all right. I think that's it. You guys, take care. Chop, chop.